Number 10. Stephen Thompson was scheduled to face Brandon Thatch in a 5-round welterweight bout at UFC Fight Night 60. Just a couple of weeks before the fight, Stephen Thompson was forced to pull out of the fight due to a rib injury. The former WEC and UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson stepped in on short notice to make his welterweight debut against Brandon Thatch, headlining the card. In the fight, Benson Henderson mixed his striking with his takedowns and eventually sunk in a rear naked choke in the 4th round, winning the fight. Number 9. Chuck Liddell was scheduled to face Tito Ortiz for the 3rd time at UFC 115. Both fighters had coached on The Ultimate Fighter and had developed an intense rivalry. Leading up to the event, Tito Ortiz was forced to pull out the fight due to a neck injury. He was replaced with former UFC middleweight champion Rich Franklin. In the fight, Chuck Liddell came out aggressive and threw a kick which broke Rich Franklin's arm. As Chuck Liddell came in, he landed a clean right hand, knocking Chuck Liddell out in the 1st round. Number 8. Matt Hughes was scheduled to face then UFC welterweight champion Matt Serra at UFC 79. Leading up to the fight, Matt Serra pulled out of the fight due to suffering a back injury. He was replaced with former UFC welterweight champion George St-Pierre, who would now face Matt Hughes for the interim UFC welterweight title. In the fight, GSP used his wrestling to control Matt Hughes on the ground and eventually defeated him by submission via an armbar in the 2nd round. Number 7. Gegard Mousasi was expected to face Ron Carneiro in a 3-round middleweight bout at UFC Fight Night 75. Just a couple of weeks before the fight, Ron Carneiro was forced to pull out due to an injury and was replaced with Uriah Hall. In the fight, Gegard Mousasi pressured Uriah Hall, taking him down for the 1st round. In the 2nd round, Uriah Hall threw a spinning back kick followed up with a flying knee, dropping Gegard Mousasi, finishing the fight by TKO in the 2nd round. Number 6. Edson Barboza was scheduled to face Evan Dunham in a 3-round lightweight bout at UFC 146. However, leading up to the event, Evan Dunham was forced to pull out due to an injury and was replaced by Jamie Varner. In the fight, Edson Barboza started throwing his signature hard leg kicks, which started to show bruising on Jamie Varner's legs. Jamie Varner threw a flurry of punches which connected clean, rocking Edson Barboza. He next went for the takedown and continued throwing a barrage of punches, eventually winning the fight by TKO in the 1st round. Number 5. Jon Jones was scheduled to face number 1 contender Anthony Johnson at UFC 187. Just a couple of weeks before the fight, Jon Jones was involved in a hit-and-run accident and was stripped of his UFC light heavyweight title. Daniel Cormier stepped in on short notice and faced Anthony Johnson, who would both now fight for the vacant UFC light heavyweight title. In the fight, Daniel Cormier used his high-level wrestling, overwhelming Anthony Johnson and eventually sunk in a rear naked choke in the 3rd round and became the new UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. Number 4. Rashad Evans was scheduled to face then UFC light heavyweight champion Mauricio Hua at UFC 128. Leading up to the fight, Rashad Evans was forced to pull out due to suffering a knee injury. He was replaced with Jon Jones, who would now face Mauricio Hua for the UFC light heavyweight title. In the fight, Jon Jones used his reach and slowly picked Mauricio Hua apart, where he eventually finished him by TKO in the 3rd round to become the new UFC light heavyweight champion. Number 3. Renan Barão looked so dominant in the bantamweight division and was defeating top fighters with ease. He was scheduled to defend his UFC bantamweight title against Rafael Assunção at UFC 173. A rib injury forced Rafael Assunção to withdraw from the event. TJ Dillashaw stepped in as a late replacement. In the fight, TJ Dillashaw overwhelmed Renan Barão with his fast movement and his high-level Muay Thai, eventually finishing him by TKO in the 5th round to become the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world. Number 2. Conor McGregor was set to face Rafael dos Anjos at UFC 196. A foot injury caused Rafael dos Anjos to be removed from the event. Nate Diaz stepped in on 2 weeks' notice to face Conor McGregor in the main event at UFC 196. Nobody gave Nate Diaz a chance against Conor McGregor as he had looked so dominant inside the octagon. In the fight, Nate Diaz took a lot of punishment in the 1st round and was bloodied up very badly. In the 2nd round, Nate Diaz pushed the pace, rocking Conor McGregor with the 1-2 combination, where he eventually submitted Conor McGregor by a rear naked choke, shocking the world. Number 1. Luke Rockhold was scheduled to defend his UFC middleweight title in a rematch against Chris Weidman at UFC 199. A neck injury forced Chris Weidman out of his title fight, and Michael Bisping stepped in on short notice to face the champion in the main event. Luke Rockhold had already defeated Michael Bisping at UFC Fight Night 55 by a guillotine choke in the 1st round. Since that time, Michael Bisping had defeated CB Dollaway, Thales Leites and Anderson Silva. When both fighters faced off at UFC 199, Michael Bisping knocked out Luke Rockhold in the 1st round, shocking the world and became the new UFC middleweight champion of the world.